So, what do you guys want to talk about? We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew, and this is the HSP podcast on the Give Us a Shot Network. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single minute of a new episode of HSP. We're also available on all podcast platforms, so make sure you listen to the show on all those options like Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcast. You can catch HSP there. I am Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter Brian Berga, and we've got your SummerSlam preview for you guys. Trendsetter, that's it. We're on our way. SummerSlam is just around the corner, and we're going to give you guys a little preview and predictions of the card, shaping up to be a very, very memorable SummerSlam.
Oh, definitely very memorable indeed. I feel like it repeats every time we're previewing a show, Jeff. I don't remember the last time I ever got excited for something like this. Granted, it is a little awkward that SummerSlam's happening around this time in August. I'm so used to having it late August, where it's like literally towards Labor Day weekend. But right now, to start off the last month of summer, technically, officially, it's exciting, man. With all the storylines going in and working their way towards this event, I can't wait for it to start, man. I can't wait to talk about it.
Usually SummerSlam used to be like around like mid-August, like around like my birthday, which is the 15th. So it's kind of now taken earlier in August. So you'll have stuff like now All In and All Out that now take that late August into September. So the biggest party of the summer now is in early August, first week of August. So you're right, man. We're turning the page on July. Hope everyone had a great July. And now we are in my month, August. So I'm excited about that. Not excited about my birthday, though, because, again, I don't want to celebrate that. I want to be another year older, but I digress. We all got to grow old sometimes, Trendsetter. But the card, like you said, it's exciting. There's a lot of great matches, and I'm so jacked and pumped up for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. We had the kickoff show earlier today, actually, and then we got to see, obviously, the Rhea Ripley talk about what she's going to do. Liv Morgan, you've got Liv Morgan breaking the internet once again. My God, did you see what she was wearing? Man, she has embraced this role. She has found herself, and she has become an absolute star. And then we got CM Punk and Drew. We got new tag team champions on SmackDown that we're also going to discuss too, because how does that lead into SummerSlam and the match between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, and of course the return, quite possibly, of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. So with that, there's always returns, Trendsetter, at SummerSlam, as we've seen the last few years. So a lot of people are anticipating that Roman Reigns will be back. There were kind of reports stating that he'd be back before SummerSlam or during the SummerSlam push. Well, now we're getting to SummerSlam, and a lot of people are thinking now with Bloodline rules that we will see Roman Reigns involved in that match. But so many options on this card to start off with. Let's start off with the the WWE Women's Championship, and that's with Nia Jax and Bayley. Again, a good story being told. Bayley's been champion since WrestleMania. Nia Jax, ever since coming back, has kind of maybe found herself this new lease now on her wrestling career. She's taken the ball. She's rolled with it. She is the queen of the ring. She gets the title shot, and she will get it at SummerSlam. And of course, Tiffany Stratton, there's always that threat, right? Because she was given a brand new Money in the Bank after Bayley destroyed it on a SmackDown earlier. And she's promised she's not going to cash it in, but you never know. You can't trust Tiffany Stratton, though, because is it worth losing a friendship or an ally like Nia Jax? We'll see, but the build has been good. I think Bayley has done a good job as the WWE Women's Champion. She's been that champion since WrestleMania. Nia Jax, again, I gave her flowers. She's done a great job here. What to you has enticed you about this feud heading into SummerSlam now, as we're just mere hours away from the show?
I think what they've tried to do is they've tried to make it personal between Bayley and Nia Jax. Again, it's not the first time we've seen Nia Jax and Bayley face each other. I think the last one that was really, really good was when they were in NXT. So that was one for the NXT Women's Championship that I slightly remember in terms of being a really good match. It has potential to be that one as well in terms of, do they work well together? I think they do. I think they have a great story. I mean, Nia coming back, you've given her flowers. I'll give her flowers as well. It has, hasn't been in terms of the victories of having title reigns, but winning the Queen of the Ring, showing this level of dominance that we've seen it a little bit here and there in her last run, but it just never was anything that was sustainable, that was believable. To say like this is a woman to look out for, and the losses she has suffered, she's been in a way protected in terms that hasn't really devalued or diminished her character in terms of her legitimacy as being a threat for a women's championship. In this case, the WWE Women's Championship. It's got, like I said, it's gotten personal between the two of them, taking jabs at each other. But I think the interesting dynamic here is that yes, Bayley is now a babyface. The crowd's behind her. Nia Jax is a heel. We've seen this before. But the big question mark here is the whole scenario that you mentioned before with Tiffany Stratton. I think this girl has literally, in my opinion, the total package. I feel that she brings a lot of things to the table. Still young in her career in terms of understanding how the business works, understanding how to connect with the audience. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are sick and tired of her going Tiffy time, but again, it's working for her. And then she is that X factor of what's going to happen. So if this was just a regular match between Bayley and Nia Jax, it would still be exciting because you knew these two would have the potential of having a great match. But now putting Tiffany Stratton in there, her wanting to obviously exact some revenge on Bayley and maybe overlooking the fact that she has an alliance with Nia Jax leaves it to be intriguing here. So that's why I'm interested in it. My prediction in this one, though, as much as I do want to see Nia Jax become a champion and actually have a dominant reign, unlike she had before when she was a babyface champion, it really didn't work itself out the way I'm sure they hoped it did. I'm seeing Bayley here retaining her WWE Women's Championship, but still having that ability where there'll be a moment where Tiffany will try to cash it in. It'll be forwarded by Nia, and that will give Bayley the victory.
All right, so there you go. You gave us a really in-depth of how this is going to happen too. Yeah, as much as I want to see Nia win it, and obviously there's a good chance and there's a good way to have her win it because I don't think that Bayley would lose anything here, losing the title here, causing maybe some conflict between Tiffany and Nia Jax because since they're a little duo, maybe Tiffany's looking to maybe cash it in because eventually she's going to turn. Eventually she's going to look out for herself, so you could use that. And then where would Bayley go, though? She could probably get a rematch somewhere down the road, or we could see some kind of triple threat. But going back to SummerSlam, as much as I'd love to see Nia come out here, and again, now I'm not rooting for Nia, but again, it'd be nice to see her do this. And Bayley, to me, has been awesome. I like this kind of Bayley, too. She's also shown an aggressive side, too, while being a face. So it hasn't really been that hugging kind of Bayley that you saw the hugger in NXT. And so I think this Bayley's just come together. She's become more well-rounded now, and she's actually, to me, just more secure with her identity and with her as a champion. I think she actually, like, this time, like, she's carrying it, right? She's really carrying the representation for that championship, and she's doing it well. And I think she's gonna retain the title. I really do. So I think I see her retaining that championship. We'll probably see teases here and there of trying to cash it in, and we'll see that friction between Nia and Tiffany. Would it be more ideal that maybe Nia wins and you see that? Who knows? Maybe, right? But I'm gonna go with Bayley retaining the WWE Women's Championship. And again, it's gonna be a really good match. Like you said, the story has been told. It's a good story. So it's personal. Trendsetter, another matchup for the IC title. It's gonna be Sami Zayn and Bron Breakker. Bron had his chance at Money in the Bank, couldn't get the job done. A little surprised, right? At Money in the Bank that Sami Zayn came out victorious. A lot of people thought that this was going to be, Bron's been built up strong, and for him to lose to Sami here was kind of a little bit surprising and maybe would hurt his momentum. It really hasn't. We've got to see more of Bron's side, more aggressive side. That matchup with Ilya Dragunov to become the number one contender last Monday night on Raw was outstanding. Ilya could not finish the match, so that actually built up Bron, and his promos have gotten really good. Right after Raw goes off the air, he has his little promos, and I think he's done a good job. And look, this is the guy, in my opinion, that's a can't miss right now, that they have their eyes set. You've even seen places where they've actually accelerated his push because they didn't think maybe he'd be ready. But the dude's ready. The dude gets better every time. And Sami has been a great champion. Sami has been very entertaining. Maybe I see a future for Sami in the Bloodline angle, maybe towards Survivor Series. But I really think here, and you can agree with me, Trendsetter, that there really is, to me, 99.99% that we're going to see a brand new IC champion, and that is Bron Breakker.
I can agree with you. I don't want to agree with you.
I know.
When we don't. makes for more compelling a show. But I would have to agree here. Again, when you said you're surprised, I was too. I'll admit I was a little surprised where I thought Money in the Bank was going to be a scenario where Braun Breaker became the new Intercontinental Champion. This one, though, is now not surprising because if I look back at our history, Jeff, when Braun Breaker was in NXT, he was really early on going for the NXT Championship, lost to Tommaso Ciampa, then came right back and then defeated him. I think that's going to be his same type of scenario in this situation here, where now he has to he had a taste of that type of next level competition in terms of Sami, that next level of difficulty when you're going on a big stage for a championship as prestigious now. I can't believe I'm saying that again, as prestigious as the Intercontinental Championship. And this scenario on a stage as big as SummerSlam right now, which is probably, if you want to compare it, it's probably the equivalent of the summer WrestleMania for the WWE. I think right now is the perfect time to have that happen for Braun. You're right. I mean, in the scenario too, where there was debate or talks between you and I, we would hear it obviously all around the internet, where how is he going to transition? Because it seemed like during his run in NXT, he started to get stale to a certain degree. Like he started trying to figure out where he was going. He was a badass. He lost the title. Then he was a tag team guy with Corbin, which kind of worked itself out. Now back up here, kind of didn't know what was going on. I think they kind of figured it out. As the old expression goes, Jeff, less is more. He gives you just enough to be intrigued in Braun Breaker. And you're right. He's this scenario right now where as we talk towards the end of 2024, he could be one of the breakout superstars of the year because, once you win the Intercontinental title, which I predict he will, come out victorious at SummerSlam to defeat Sami Zayn, the next question will be, when's the moment when you pull the trigger and have him go for either the world title or the WWE Championship? So that will be something we'll probably talk more towards the end of the year. But in this one, I've got Braun Breaker walking out the new Intercontinental Champion.
And like you said, the acceleration to the process is how long he keeps that IC title. And I can see him holding that for a long time. And then just think about this.
Good stories with Sami, Ilya, and then a lot of rosters of
mid-card is strong. So that mid-card is strong right now. And that's what you want to do. It's a mid-card title. You want to, we want to keep building him up right now. And putting a title on him is a great start. And to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he's the breakout star of 2024. If, in just a short time being called up in the roster, I was not a fan of him and Baron Corbin towards the end. It did get a little stale. And you could tell that when he loses titles, it really doesn't kill his momentum because he won it back against Dolph Ziggler. We were there for WrestleMania 39 weekend where he lost at that NXT TakeOver. It really didn't hurt him a lot too, but he's really improved. Got to give him credit. He's really improved. A lot of people thought maybe his promo skills would kind of be rough around the edges. They have not. He's refined them better. He's embraced who he, again, a lot of things about this, they've embraced who they are. A lot of superstars have embraced this and have done a great job, and just tremendous mid-carder, a lot of talent there as well. And listen, it's a no-brainer, man. It is Braun Breaker is going to walk away as a new Intercontinental Champion. All right, the U.S. title. Listen, it's now or never for a guy like LA Knight, right? I think now the urgency, as far as it doesn't happen here, when is it going to happen? Because this is a guy that kind of got lost in logjam when CM Punk returned. And then it was just Drew McIntyre elevated himself. And that WrestleMania card kind of was like, all right, LA Knight, okay, AJ Styles is good, but he kind of just, even though the popularity that he had, he just couldn't get past a certain point. And, a lot of people thought he maybe be a dark horse or a good feel-good story to win the Rumble. Maybe that wasn't going to happen because of the Cody Roman story or whatever you want to believe that happened there. But it just seems like the guy has built momentum, but either it's the company doesn't believe in him or there's just too many people in front of him. But now it is set up to Logan Paul, who has had I don't know, how do you want to depict Logan Paul's run? Do you think it's been 2 title defenses? It's about 200 plus days. Before we get to predictions here in LA Knight, just your idea of the run that Logan Paul's had as a champion.
Hard to find his run right now. I would say underachieving, because I think we're expecting so much from Logan. And I think, I can't tell because we're not in the meetings as creative as much as we want to be, Jeff, right? But I feel like there was just so much more potential there. This is it. if this is his the end of his reign and it ends up the scenario at the end of the night, then I think it would leave us as the audience saying what could have been. It could have been more. So successful in the sense that it has brought more eyes to the U.S. title, even though it has been defended as frequently. But still, in the scenario, you want to see Logan Paul lose. You're going to pay money to see either Paul brother lose, whether it be Jake or Logan, right? So they do allow you to see it from that perspective, where like, yeah, there's still more of a mainstream paying attention to this and bringing the light to it as well. But going back to it, yeah, if this is it for Logan Paul, I think it's going to be a blown opportunity. There could have been a lot more they could have done with it too. But in terms of his schedule, how often they wanted to use them, and this is another thing we have to understand too, Jeff, is that he is not, although he is more dedicated to WWE, and maybe he would consider himself a full timer, although he fights part time with the WWE. He's still new to this too, so. To see the scenario of what he's done miraculously in the ring and how well he's kind of made that the transition from just being a fan of this to having matches with Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia for the WWE Universal Championship to where he is now holding the U.S. title. It's a lot to ask for of him. I know, I get it, but we as fans sometimes get a little bit greedy and want more. I think there could have been a lot more in the potential, but right now, if this is it, it would be something that would be a little bit of a disappointing run for him.
Yeah, I think he's brought a lot of eyes to that title. I'll agree with you on that point. But I also think that as well, he could have had more matches. Now, you're right. He's a full timer on a part timer schedule, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't allow for that. But I think they're happy with it because of the eyes that got brought onto the title. He's bringing it everywhere. It's all these fights and everything. And it's getting mainstream. But yeah, it's been kind of disappointing as far as like you have so many expectations, high expectations for Logan Paul because he's just so entertaining in the ring. But he's a heel, and this is what heels do, right? He's going to get you more heat. So 2 title defenses, and he's in his hometown. He kind of got booed in Cleveland. SmackDown.
That's what you want. You want that to happen.
Had some controversial things this past week, of course, with the Olympic boxer, whatever you want to say it is, man, woman, whatever. He he was outspoken about it, which is his right. Later, it turned out to be we were all kind of misinformed on that a little bit on that subject, but he got blasted for it, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he should be reprimanded" or this and that. But take that aside, he's a heel in his hometown. And like we said, now we go to LA Knight, who, if he's a babyface, they're cheering for him. And if he's going to do it, he's going to do it in Logan Paul's hometown and take the U.S. Championship away from Logan Paul. And then we'll see what happens here with LA Knight as a U.S. champion. Now that pressure is going to be on there now, he's a champion. And what's next for a guy like LA Knight? Is this going to be now where they're going to stamp him as this guy who is next in line to be a top tier guy? I mean, he's already viewed as that in the position he's put, but now let's see what happens when he wins that U.S. title. Let's see what happens when the ball really is in LA Knight's hands. And I'm going to say this: I'm going to say LA Knight comes out victorious. Trendsetter.
Yeah, back to your point you made earlier before we start talking about Logan Paul's reign and was success or not as a U.S. champion. I think in the scenario too, for the fact that LA Knight seems to have been lost in the shuffle a little bit in terms of the momentum he had, and then like you said, you mentioned CM Punk coming back, and a lot of things working against him in that sense. I feel right now is the right time. It's now or never in a scenario because again, as much as fans love the chase and love to see it, I mean we've proved that with Cody in terms of the span of 2 years, you can have a chase be successful. Yes, but in the scenario of LA Knight right now, again, I don't think a title defines him, but at the same time, you want him to be somewhere in that circle because having a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title, depending on what roster you're on, right, does give you some type of notoriety to the degree that you can be that next guy. If he's just walked around as, going from rivalry to rivalry, really there was no title on the line here or something for him to defend, then he loses a little bit. I wouldn't say his credibility in terms because the fans are for him. They love LA Knight. They keep chanting LA Knight every single time he walks to the ring. But in terms of trying to make it credible that down the road, depending how long it is, I mean, because again, LA Knight's no spring chicken either, right? He is in his 40s. But at what point, if you do decide to elevate him to a world title, main event caliber type position again, having the U.S. title in his resume is definitely a good omen for him in terms of getting back to that level he wanted to prior to everyone returning, prior to all these crazies to happen prior to WrestleMania. So I got LA Knight coming out victorious in this one. And then with Logan Paul in the scenario, I'm sure this isn't one and done with him. I think that we'll see this again after SummerSlam's over to continue this rivalry to a certain degree. But I think he'll go away for a little bit, come back at a later time that benefits him and benefits the storyline. But again, I have LA Knight walking out of SummerSlam, the new United States champion.
Now, what you said was like this. If this is the end, you said, just to clarify, you said this is the end a few minutes ago on Logan Paul. You're talking about the title run. This is not the
title
end.
Reign. The title reign. This is the end of his title reign for now. Then it would be disappointing.
WWE. So, yeah. So that's not what he was referring to. This was the end of this title run. And you're right. He'll go away, and then he'll come back, and then we'll put another feud. So, as far as the successfulness of this title run for Logan Paul, I guess it is your own opinion. It's the eye of the beholder. I'm going to say it was successful because of the mainstreamness that it did. I don't know if I made up that word mainstreamness, but the mainstream that he brought up to that
makes sense.
Makes sense. So I think that for that reason only, I think that's why it was successful. And now they're going to have a guy that's going to be there and defend it on SmackDown constantly.
Jeff, let me just ask you this real quick too. When we talk about, and we've broken down what we think is going to happen with the Intercontinental Championship, what's happening with the U.S. title, right? Do you think right now, as we're talking right now, approaching SummerSlam, that these titles have now been elevated to the degree where they once were, or there's still work to be done?
I think that the IC title has been. Look at the champions here. You're going to have Gunther, who had a great title reign, and then we were all kind of wondering if Sami's going to be the same way. Yeah, he's had a great title run. He's elevated that with Gable and the matches he's had. I mean, he's been a fighting champion. And then now you're going to put it in the next guy, the next up and coming guy in Bron Breakker. And he showed that he can go in that ring. He's going to have tremendous matches. Like I can't wait till it's him and Dragunov again for a title. And it's going to be great back and forth. I mean, these guys are already having stellar matches. And right now we've seen like 3 times of them in the ring. I want to see more. So I think that, yes, the IC title has been elevated once again. I think it's in that category. I think Triple H has done a great job with that. The U.S. title, I think it still needs a little bit more work, but I think putting it on Logan Paul, it's got the notoriety. So it's become become elevated in that aspect. But I think there needs to be more wrestling with that title. And I think that was a negative with Logan Paul, but I think now with LA Knight now, which we predict that he becomes the champion at SummerSlam, I think we're going to see now that title more defended, though. So it's got the prestige mainstream. Now it just needs it needs the in-ring credibility. So, yeah, but if right now, though, I will say this, both those titles are better off than they were maybe a year and a half ago, years ago. Depending on where Gunther's reign started, this is definitely the best they've both been positioned at in a long time. You would agree so, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that assessment because right now, if I think about a year ago compared to where these titles were positioned, who was holding it now, regardless of who was holding them, in terms of how they were perceived by you and I, in terms of how I felt they were perceived in the general public, I feel that they're getting back to that level where these are important because it's not about the titles theoretically, in my opinion, Jeff, where like if you're the Intercontinental champion, you need to be held in a certain regard. Or same thing with the U.S. title. But I think these are important launching pads for that next breakout star. We talked about Bron Breakker. We looked at the scenario with LA Knight in terms of where he wants to continually hold his position as a possible main event caliber performer. When you have scenarios like this and the titles are elevated to the point where the perception is, and the classic thing you and I always talk about, perception is reality, right? If you can perceive these titles to give it the importance that you and I once recognized them to be for both the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title, it's like this could be the next person that's going to be there because we know whoever's on top eventually is going to come down, and you're always looking for the next person. So to me, they're in a better place than they were a year, 2, 3 years ago.
Most definitely. That IC title and US title are in a much better place. All right. Trendsetter, now we're getting here to one that I'm looking forward to because the story is just so freaking awesome. We love soap operas, we love drama, and there's been no better drama than between Dom Mysterio, Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan. Look, there's people that are going to always be critics. They're never going to be happy. I get maybe sometimes Liv Morgan's not your cup of tea because maybe in the ring work you're still holding her to to have a little bit better standard, or whether you're just not a fan of the laugh or the way she acts. Listen, man, whatever you want to say, you cannot take anything away from what she's done. I mean, yes, maybe I'll be blinded by the booty jean shorts, and yes, maybe I'm blinded by what she was wearing today. Good Lord, that see-through. Oh, man, black outfit. Good Lord. Yes, maybe I'm blinded by lust. Maybe I'm just a buck guy, right? And I'm just blinded by, her booty. But, I mean, give her flowers, dude. She is just, to me, she's knocked out of the park. She's found herself, and now I have no credibility, I guess, because maybe I am blinded, but she has, to me, given herself so much. It's been kind of a reinvention of herself, man. She's found this thing. She's taken the ball. She's rolled with it. She's been tremendous in just her interactions with Dom Mysterio. Her last promos that she had with Rhea, after Dominic basically said, "I hate you." And we still don't know where this stands. I still don't know what's going to happen at SummerSlam, because now you see that the Judgment Day seem to be in a happy place. Obviously, Rhea and Damien Priest seem to be in a very happy place. Dom maybe he's happy too, because maybe he's got Rhea fooled, or maybe they're back together and he's happy with the way things are. But I just still don't know where this is going to lie. I know something's going to happen. I know, and with Finn's interaction, the way he's been acting lately, you can tell that he's miffed that the Judgment Day doesn't revolve around him. You can tell now that this Damien Priest leadership thing, he's not taking it well. You just don't know what's going to happen, right? And I think that's great. So I'm going to give Liv her flowers. I'm going to give Rhea her flowers, because she's done a tremendous job. Dominic Mysterio. Hey, I'm going to tell you this right now. I agree with Cody. The guy is a future champion. I don't know if they would ever want to turn him a babyface, but eventually he'll be a babyface. But I just think so highly of everyone here. And it's going to be sad to me, because I like the interaction with the Judgment Day. I love the whole Carlito. That's what I think about when they break up. I think of Carlito. Like, what's going to happen to Carlito, right? It has been so enjoyable just to watch this and laugh about the skits and everything. It's been so good. I'm going to miss this. But Trendsetter, I don't know what's going to happen. I think Liv is going to walk away as the winner here. And it just, to me, makes sense. I know everyone thinks that Rhea is going to come back. She never lost the title to begin with, right? And she's this unstoppable force. But I think Liv Morgan is going to walk away with the champion. And I think Finn Balor, I think we're going to see the breakup of the Judgment Day. I think Finn Balor is going to show his colors. And I cannot wait for this one. This has got me so interested, man. I really cannot wait to see this matchup. But I'm going to go with Liv. But you can go on so many angles with this, Trendsetter, like why this is so good, and give everyone their flowers. Where do you stand with this? Do you know what's going to happen? Or are you still wondering, like, I have no freaking clue? Because I don't.
I wouldn't say no, because again, creative's not returning my calls, so I don't know what's going on there. But man, it's hard to wrap in terms of everything you just said. In terms of let's get the first thing out of the way in terms of Liv Morgan, right? Yeah, there's a lot of hate sometimes with Liv Morgan. With all her reinventions of herself, I think this is the best version I've seen to date. I wasn't a fan of it early on, but when she put out Rhea Ripley and then started this new persona of herself, I was a fan of it. Promos wise, I think that's where she gets the most heat, because they don't particularly like the promos. But I think in the sense of where Liv is in terms of the belief she has in herself, that you can tell she projects on TV. Although again, people aren't fans of the promo, she owns it, and this is a huge theme.
I love that. I love what you said. That you said it in those words. She owns it. That's perfect. Yep.
I think the theme of what we're always talking about here, from not just talking about the SummerSlam card, but what we've done since really maybe after Royal Rumble, talking about WrestleMania, is that we're talking about individuals here that maybe last year were just placeholders, and now we're talking about individuals that are seeding and are allowed to be basically themselves, as one famous guy would once say, but the volume turned up really high. Letting them figure out who they are, and then being comfortable in who they are. And to what I just said too, they own what they're saying, and it's believable. And then you can agree with it, or you cannot, right? It doesn't really matter if you agree with it or not. You're entitled to your opinion if you do or you don't. but you believe in what's going on here. That's why his storyline is so intriguing, for the fact that you can be on either side of it. You can justify Rhea Ripley not losing the title and her being taken out by Liv Morgan during this revenge tour. And also you can justify Liv's actions, because it was Rhea Ripley that took her out for 6 months for a shoulder injury too. As much as Rhea wants to say, well, at least I told her I was going to do it, or I told her twice to stay out of my business, it doesn't justify the means. So, an eye for an eye, a cheek for a cheek, whatever you want to call it. This is what it is. And now when you add Dominic Mysterio, the Judgment Day, it just adds other layers to it, which is why you and I have been so blessed as of now with this new regime, because they're all not home runs. I'm not trying to boast the WWE and say, oh, everything they're doing is working. There's some things that aren't, but in terms of this right now, this is working. This is intriguing. This is allowing the audience to look at a situation like this, and like you said, it's not predictable. We don't know what's going to happen. You have your theories, I have mine. So in this scenario too, with all this wrapped up in a little bow, because you know how long-winded I can be when it comes to these types of storyline angles. But in the scenario of this is that it's worked in the scenario where Dominic Mysterio has feeling abandoned by Mommy. Things are good with Mommy now. But in the whole time, Liv has been that sense of allowing Dominic to think that he can be his own man, calling him Daddy Dom, and basically being the submissive to him as opposed to him being the submissive to Rhea Ripley. And so when this all said and done, things look good on the surface, but there's ripplings underneath going on right there. And I think what's going to happen is, I agree, Liv Morgan will retain, but what's going to happen is that when Mommy thinks it's all over and said and done, it'll be Dominic Mysterio that turns his back on Mommy and wants to be his own man. And Rhea Ripley will be out of the Judgment Day, and it'll be Dominic Mysterio with Liv Morgan walking out of SummerSlam as retaining the WWE World Title.
Women's World Championship.
Yes.
So, but then where does Finn go? Does it happen the next?
We're going to talk about that, because again, there's another match we got to talk about. I think that's where Finn introduces himself.
Oh, touche. That's great. Yeah, because there is the next match. So we both think that Liv is going to retain, and
it's set up for Dominic to turn his back on Rhea. Rhea has not appreciated Dominic Mysterio since she left. She's all buddies with Damien Priest. Damien's the only one that's been talking to her during her injury. So if you're Dominic Mysterio, try to put yourself in that scenario without the mullet, of course, and the mustache, and you put yourself in his shoes. Which, by the way, who wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now? Because if you get to spend time with Liv Morgan, God damn it, if you tell me you switch your places in a second, he's going to feel as if he's been abandoned. He's going to feel like he's not being held in an important value. So what's going to happen? Backstab it. Classic. You want to talk about classic? Go watch the whole scenario with Chyna, God rest her soul, and Eddie Guerrero. Storyline writes itself there. I think they're just kind of mirroring that to a certain extent. And you have Dominic turning his back on Mommy, finally being his own man, helping the one person he said he hated, but learned to love, as we all do, Liv Morgan.
Man, can't go from there. That's really, really good. It's really great analysis right there, that are really well done. So I'm so much looking forward to this matchup too. This is going to be really one where we're going to analyze it, and but we can agree that it is kind of the beginning of the end for the Judgment Day. They will kind of go in their separate ways, and I think the start of it will be at SummerSlam. Now, you talked about the bridge about Finn Balor, because also Monday Night Raw, Liv kind of tore up the clubhouse. Well, she destroyed the clubhouse, left it in shambles. But there's kind of the Easter eggs too that I love what this regime is doing, right? Where they're giving you the Easter eggs. Like we saw Dakota Kai in the background. You saw the Wyatt Six symbol in the background, because she also is the one that destroyed her own group. She destroyed Damage Control when they kicked Bayley out, right? She was she was the one behind that. They're going after Gable because he kind of destroyed his Alpha Academy. So those little hidden things too are just tremendous. And then Finn Balor's face is the only one that doesn't get destroyed in the whole clubhouse. So where does Finn Balor here lie with Liv Morgan? And as we head into this matchup for the World Championship, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship between Damien Priest and Gunther, the storyline has gotten good in the last few weeks because it's been made personal. You're talking about Damien Priest's long journey, the road to become the champion, to get to where he is in WWE, and all due tremendous respect for Damien Priest. We talked to him way before when he was punishing Martinez, and when we talked to him, very great guy. I think he's very humble, and I think this whole thing is just a great success story, right? And it kind of leads me to this. If they come out with the documentary as him as champion, and it's coming out soon. And I know it was this weekend. There was the big premiere, and you're gonna have this kind of breakup, and they're pushing him towards being a face. Do you think it's better for him? And we'll get to Gunther in a second here, but in Damien, do you think if Finn Balor is going to turn on him, do you think it's better for Damien to overcome that and still come out victorious with all this stuff coming up? Like you said, the babyface turn, and with the documentary coming out, do you think it's wise for them to take the title off of him at SummerSlam? And just your thoughts on that first.
No, I don't. And the reason why I say that is that if, and I'll get into it to this degree, and I'll talk more in depth to it as we're talking about the match itself, that my prediction is that Finn's going to turn on Damian Priest and cost him the title. And the question you asked me is, does that kind of hurt him in a way because all the stuff's coming out and they're really making him a big face? I don't think it hurts him. You know why, Jeff? Because everyone loves to root for somebody that's dealing with adversity. He's the champion right now. He's on top. If he were somehow betrayed by his quote unquote family, it would make him more of a sympathetic figure. And then we go back to the same scenario, the same formula that's always been used, Jeff, the chase. You were the champion. You were on top, right? I mean, this whole reign of Damian Priest has been one of trying to prove himself that he's not a fluke. He's not a paper champion. He's not a transitional champion, as they always say about him, right? And I have questions about that too, because his last two championship outings weren't necessarily the best, which was in a way working against him. So in this scenario, I don't think it hurts him. You know why? Because everyone wants to root for it. We even talked about this before when it was Cody. Like, was 39 the right time, right? Because again, the story was written like, oh, this would have been awesome too. But then you prolong it, and the chase continually happens. And sometimes, for you and I, and obviously internet wrestling fans, sometimes we want that instant gratification, which I think nowadays under the old regime is what you got. Now we're looking at long-term storytelling. We're looking at the not necessarily, we're looking at it, more down the road. And of course, a lot of things can happen down the road to always adjust the storyline or adjust what your plans might be. But I think that's where we're going. It doesn't hurt Damian Priest because I feel like if he is being betrayed by his family, it's out of his element and out of his control. They say pride is one of the 7 sins, right? In the scenario here, and that could be one that could be working against Damian Priest. And people will be sympathetic behind that and want him to regain that title and will be more behind him as a babyface. So I don't think it hurts him.
Absolutely agree there. That's a great logic as far as why it wouldn't hurt him to lose that championship. But you're right. Obviously, the fans love him as a babyface. He has gradually turned into the babyface. He's obviously has that babyface look, and he's easy to root for. So when you bring out his story, I don't think the championship is at this point going to be a bigger story than just the part of rooting him for how much he's accomplished and how far he's gotten to. You were talking about LA Knights for his age. Punishments on that either late side of 30 or 40 or early 40s. So he kind of was a late bloomer and got into this business. But again, his persistence, his drive got him to where he is. And I think that you said the chase is going to be very important. And I think as he chases Gunther, or if he does take a step back, because most likely his next role will be taking revenge on Finn Balor or whoever has betrayed him. So he might take a step back in the championship chase, but it's going to be better in the long run because it's going to build him up to be that babyface champion. So obviously, a great point there. And with that, we get to Gunther, who, I have even seen him wrestle in the last. Well, we have, but it's been few and far between. I like the build up. I like the last few weeks has been great because we got the contact, we've got the physicality, and now it's made it clear that Gunther is that really just this amazing like heel, and Damien has become definitely the babyface now. But I think Gunther now, with that sales pitch you just gave me, Trendsetter, I think Gunther becomes the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And I agree, man. You really, your sales pitch that you just gave us here and why it wouldn't hurt Damien Priest really kind of turned me to saying that Gunther's going to be your new world champion.
Yeah, now if I could only sell a car in the house, that'd be great. I'd be in a great position right now, right? But yeah, that's hard to do, especially in this day and age, in this economy, in this market. But in terms of the market of pro wrestling, though, I think it's very high. It's sell, sell, sell. We're selling these storylines to us, and that's why we're enjoying it, because it's not as predictable. I think that's where it sells you and I as an audience, where, you never know what's going to happen. It's that unpredictability. It's, I'm going to butcher it, Jeff, but what Eric Bischoff said, Sarsna was the word, right? Yeah, that exactly, in terms of that formula, because it just creates the anticipation of you not knowing what's going to happen. if you enjoy the amusement parks, you enjoy a great movie. It's knowing that, yes, you might know what's going to happen. You might think the hero comes out victorious, but there's the possibility that it doesn't happen. In terms of Gunther, though, Jeff, what better way in terms of establishing a heel champion would be Gunther? I mean, we saw the dominance he had with the Intercontinental title, right? Now we see the scenario where he's groomed. We look at Damien Priest's story. What's more relatable? People who have struggled, people who have dealt with adversity to get to where they want to be, or people who have been groomed, have been getting everything they want in the position. It's easy to dislike Gunther in that respect in terms of that character, because you're like, I can't relate to this guy. Everything has been spoon fed to him. But with that being said, he's shown his dominance, that not only can he say these things that he says, calling Damien Priest, street trash, but again, he can back it up too. So I see it from Gunther's perspective as well. And that's the cool thing about a heel as well, even when you despise like a Gunther, because you can see it from his perspective as well. He wants to bring honor, prestige, things that we talked about when it came to the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, to a championship like the world title, which, now that we can go back looking at it, we're talking about giving flowers, right? I give my flowers over to Seth Rollins too, and everything he did to kind of re-elevate that title, because it's been a long time since we saw the world title on WTV. And Seth Rollins had brought it up to a certain degree now, to a certain level where you saw Drew McIntyre for 5 minutes with it, and now Damien Priest help elevate guys to that next level. When this scenario with Gunther coming out victorious, we talked about the chase and how cool it is and how great it is for a babyface to have the crowd behind you during that chase. But also, what's a cool thing too, to go after this guy that you so badly want to lose, that you're going to pay money for to see lose, but at the same time, you're still going to be entertained, because as much as you despise this guy, he's still going to be a dominant champion. And similar to what Roman Reigns did, Jeff, I'm not comparing the two because they're apples and oranges, but what Roman Reigns did as a heel, as the WWE Universal Champion, he gave an aura about it in terms of representing the company, and to a certain degree, especially internationally now with Gunther and his ties to Europe as well. That would be great PR if he was the WWE World Champion too. So to me, I think it works itself out there, and I feel it also allows itself where I think Finn Balor is going to turn his back on him, because Finn Balor himself, Jeff, and we saw it on Raw, where he said, ever since you won that title, you've changed. And maybe that changes too. Maybe success changes a man too. Maybe it comes to the point where Damien, who's so reliant on the Judgment Day to help get him through these difficult times, now has a sense of certain arrogance behind it. So I could see Finn's side. I see Finn being the odd man out in terms of helping bridge this gap. When Adam Copeland Edge left the Judgment Day, was kicked out, and Finn Balor was that unification of it. Now Rhea's kind of become her own, doesn't want to listen to Judgment Day. She wants to give orders. So does Damien Priest. They don't appreciate the legend of Finn Balor in terms of, even Gunther said it too, right? Finn Balor, and I'm really happy they did that when they had their match on Raw, where he gave Finn Balor all these props of like, you were a legend, you're the man, you're the next guy, and now you've been set in terms of being part of a group, which I'm sure Finn is sick and tired of that too. Hey, listen, I'm a leader. I can be a guy here. I could be a top guy. He had his moment with Seth Rollins when he chased after him for the world title, but still, he was dependent on the Judgment Day. Damien Priest has shown no appreciation for him. Neither has Rhea Ripley. I mean, he got them to this position where they were below mid-carders or mid-carders to where they are superstars now. That's all due to Finn Balor. So I could see Finn's side of this too, why he feels betrayed by Damien Priest, and why it would be so sweet for him to cost him that title, to exact his revenge, saying, hey, you think you can do this without me? Let's see you try now. Now that I've cost you the title, let's see if you can get it back without my help.
So if you have Dom walking away with Liv, and then you have a Finn Balor turning his back on Damien Priest, then you're watching basically the end of the Judgment Day happening at SummerSlam. So that is going to be another match that I think it's going to be a bridge. It's building a bridge into what's going to happen, and it's going to be a Saturday. It's going to be, I can't wait to see what happens too. So it's going to be worth watching. These matches that we're talking about right now, this is going to be why that this SummerSlam is so highly anticipated, and you can't get more highly anticipated than this one, and that is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They had their face-off again the last couple of weeks. There's been that talk, the critique that, listen, Adam Pearce is no dumb guy. Even if they have interaction, he would not cancel this money match at SummerSlam, but yet that is the storyline, that if they touch or they do something like that where they come to blows, that the match is canceled. It's kind of hard to believe, that, and it's kind of taking a little bit of the luster away from it, because there was a point where this thing was like the thing. It could have easily been the main event. And I think the last 2 weeks or so, with the addition of Seth Rollins and just the way, for example, that people see him treating this match, that he's more of his fashion show, that's more about him, that might take away from these two guys. I would have loved this match to be one-on-one. I would have loved it to, I know CM Punk, it probably wouldn't be ideal to have like a no DQ, no disqualification, like that kind of street fight or something like that. But this had the makings of a street fight. This had the makings where, like, just let these guys come to blow. And if, as CM Punk says, that after this is going to be the end, either way, whatever happens, he's done with Drew McIntyre, then this is the way it should have ended. It should have ended in a street fight, some kind of, maybe not controversy, but in just a way where it was a closure. This has all the makings also, to Trendsetter, of Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
SummerSlam. I mean, I could see that ending as well, because Seth Rollins is, and I know why they put him in there, because he's going to screw CM Punk, or there's going to be it's going to be either accidentally or intentionally. Well, there's no other way, but that's what's going to happen. And if anything, this has all the makings of SummerSlam from East Rutherford, where you had Shawn Michaels accidentally hit Taker with the chair, and then basically cost Taker the WWE Championship. So, listen, I think Drew McIntyre is walking away with the win, because I think eventually it's going to lead to CM Punk and Seth Rollins. But would I've loved it for just to be a one-on-one, because this was such a great feud. I mean, this to me had like such a good vibes, because Drew is just on another level right now. CM Punk is still on that level as far as a talker, and just these two, it's just so freaking personal, so good, that I would just love them to have ended it, though. Just have them one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret that I wanted that to happen. I just wanted to be one-on-one. I was not a huge fan of Seth Rollins being in there. For whatever the reason, I just didn't think it would work. I could have seen Seth being involved in this, more of just, how can I dissect this? Well, let me dissect it this way first, and then I'll get back to the main point. When you talked about Drew and CM Punk, right, to what you alluded to me, the word organic is the right way in terms of talking about this storyline. There is an origin behind it, which Drew hasn't shared. But still, that was many years ago, and to this point now, it became organic because going back in the past, in terms of April, leading to WrestleMania, this wasn't supposed to happen. We knew what the main event was going to be: Seth Rollins and CM Punk for the world title. CM Punk's first chance to main event a WrestleMania. Didn't work out. But then all this happened, and it organically happened, this rivalry between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre after what happened at the Royal Rumble. And I think this has probably been one of the best stories that have been put together with individuals that do have a history. We didn't know about it, but then have come into their own, where we knew where CM Punk was level in terms of talking the mic, but we never saw that with Drew. And now we saw this new level of Drew, that he can go one-on-one with one of the greats on the mic. I'll give CM Punk his flowers. In terms of the mic, he's one of the best, if not the best, on the microphone. But when you have a guy like Drew McIntyre that not could only stay toe-to-toe, but could actually beat him on a couple of things, that put him on another level. With Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins said it himself after he lost the world title match to Damien Priest, that he said to CM Punk that you're not going to get your pound of flesh, because by the time you think you're going to get it, I'm going to put you back on the shelf. That has the makings of why I'm sure he's inserted into this match storyline wise, because again, even CM Punk said it himself too. You're probably going to screw me, and there's nothing I can do about that, but I'll deal with it when it happens, because it's pitted on this, where Drew McIntyre, I feel, needs this after all that's been done, after all that's happened for him. And, to have to listen to, I call Bryan Danielson, but I'll call CM Punk and Michael Cole hypocrites, because at the end of the day, as much as they want to say that Drew McIntyre has this obsession against CM Punk, who's really the obsessed one here? Who's really the one that's been traveling from place to place, because now they want to make it their mission in life to make sure that one person in their career doesn't achieve the success, no matter how much it hinders their own. That's, to me, the definition of obsession when you really think about it, because Drew has moved on past CM Punk. He's been going for world titles, but it's been CM Punk that's been costing him that. So when you go up to this main event, I think it only benefits Drew. It doesn't hurt CM Punk, because if Seth Rollins costs him the match, we know what we're going to get, what we've always wanted to see, which was these two individuals facing the ring. So when that's done and it's all said and done and it's all over, mixing my words here. Drew McIntyre is going to finally be rid of CM Punk, and we're going to get the storyline we've wanted to see since the moment he came back to the roster, CM Punk and Seth Rollins. So I think it works itself out that way. I don't think it should have been a special referee. I would have loved this to be an unsanctioned street fight, because if you're going to talk about violence, if you're going to talk about killing a man in the middle of the ring and making his heart stop, this cannot be a one-on-one singles match. It can't.
It cannot, honestly, because they talked about it in their face-off, the very last face-off before the match. Drew McIntyre, really the harsh words are like, I'm going to kill you. Basically, your heart, is going to lose its beat. I mean, that's pretty harsh. I mean, that is a guy that has all intent. And how great would it have been to get that physicality there in a street fight. And nothing against Seth Rollins, man, but I just think the last few weeks has just lost a lot of steam with Seth Rollins as interjected. I get why they're going to do it. And also, too, with the whole no contact rule. I mean, these guys, you got a guy that laid out Punk in his hometown, basically dropped him and took his bracelet. And then you have another thing, too, where he's cost them all these championships. And you're telling me that they're going to listen. And you have Drew, who's knocking out authority left and right, knocking referees. And now when he has the guy right in front of him, he's not going to go for it. I guess, Drew's saying like, oh, I can wait one more day till SummerSlam. I get that. But in reality, these guys should have come to blows. There should have been some security somewhere there to make sure that they don't touch each other, whatever like that. But just them being so much together and know how physical it is, there's no way you can tell me that there really wouldn't be a case where they would just go to blows. So I'm still looking forward to it. But I think we both are in agreement that Drew McIntyre is going to come out victorious, and they're going to go with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Would have loved it if it would have been for the championship, though. So we'll see if that's going to go with no title on the line. See if it loses a little bit of luster too with no title on the line too, because that was the main thing too. With Seth Rollins as the champion, you had something up for grabs as well. So again, that's going to be another good match too. That's why a lot of people were saying it should main event, but now they're taking a little step back here in the feud. It's kind of lost a little bit of its luster. Now I know definitely why this is going to be the main event. And here you go, Trendsetter. Fork and knife. We're here at the meat of it, Trendsetter, and that is for the WWE Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. Cody Rhodes defended against Solo Sikoa. Congratulations to Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, the new WWE tag team champions. Yep. I mean, Jacob Fatu, it'll be the first of many gold that he wears around his waist, and then basically putting it on Solo's shoulders. And what a way to close out with that picture, huh? With the Bloodline bringing championship. And now the question is, Trendsetter, Bloodline rules. Cody Rhodes agreed to it. We just talked about babyfaces making some stupid choices. Obviously, now we know there's going to be interference. Listen, the last time there was Bloodline rules, it was probably the most memorable match in WrestleMania history. And now we have Bloodline rules. The Rock's wrapped up his movies. Roman Reigns is waiting in the wings. Zilla Fatu is posting pictures that he's in Cleveland. What is going to happen here at SummerSlam? Wow, this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna listen. Let's start off here with predictions, and I'll let you do it because you heard enough out of me. You've had to come on after me. I'm gonna let you take this one here. The one that has plenty of meat on it. The plenty of meat on this one. I'm gonna say that Cody Rhodes retains it, but what happens after that, Trendsetter? Be my guest.
Wow, how to dive and dissect this. This is, oh man, it has so many layers to it. Talking about what we just previously talked about, a potential main event that lost a little momentum going into it, which is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And now we're talking about a scenario where you have the WWE Championship on the line and a rivalry that in the last 2 weeks has picked up a lot of momentum. So many things involved in this that make it intriguing that could possibly happen, right? So let's dive into it. Let's try to go in order here, and I'll try not to kill myself in terms of forgetting where I'm going, because again, there's so many directions you can go in this, which is again one of the main basis of this what we talked about in the beginning of the show. That's what is so cool about this. There is no right or wrong. You can go in so many directions. So what I think is going to happen is this, right? So now with the Bloodline rules, can lightning strike the same place twice, Jeff? I don't know. Is he playing with fire? Is pride now gotten the better of a guy like Cody Rhodes, who I love and admire so much, but sometimes pride makes you make some stupid decisions, and I think this is a stupid decision on his part too. He has nothing to prove to do this. It should be a one-on-one match, but now you have bloodline rules. It makes it now the scenario where we've been talking about. Rumors are going now circulating. Roman Reigns, they want to have him back before SummerSlam. The time is now. It's been 100 and so what days, maybe 125, 130 days since he's been on TV, since he's competed since WrestleMania after losing the title. Solo has literally blasted Roman Reigns publicly, calling himself the new tribal chief. We have a new bloodline forming, Jeff, which is still, in my opinion, in the early stages of developing the dominance they're supposed to exemplify if they're going to compete with the original version of what the bloodline was and what they've done and their track record, right? And now you have a scenario with Cody where I feel
Wiseman has been taken out. The wise man has been taken out.
the wise man has been taken out. The inmates are running the assignment in the bloodline. And this is a vicious, no rules in this bloodline, no honor, no nothing, right? And the guy like Cody Rhodes now that has pitted himself in the worst position you could ever think about pitting yourself in. He's got no allegiance. Kevin Owens is out. His best friend, his mentor, his father figure, Randy Orton, is out. Could there be some resentment there by Randy Orton? Could he be a little upset there? We'll talk about that later in another time, right? Who knows? Maybe that can happen at SummerSlam. Maybe Randy Orton makes a return, but who's he going to protect? Who's he going after? Solo? The Bloodline? Cody? Who knows? But the main point people want to talk about is what's going to happen here. I feel Cody Rhodes is going to come out victorious in this. I still do. But I talked about this with you off air. And I said, if you're trying to create this story with having the bloodline really be the main focus of trying to create this dominance, you just saw it in Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. Could you imagine if they had the WWE Championship in their control again? Wow. Now you're creating a scenario where you have to take this bloodline seriously. Not that they haven't before, but again, we're still waiting for this dominance to happen. Could that happen? It could. Would I be happy with it? Probably not, but it would make sense storyline-wise if he did it. But I think Cody's going to come back victorious, and everyone's talking about Roman Reigns. He's going to come back, or we're going to hear that music when it's all over, even during the match. Is he going to cost Solo the championship? Because Solo blasted him out and says that if you want this tribal chief, you want this head of the table, take it from me. Do we see that babyface Roman that we've been anticipating it's going to happen after WrestleMania? I don't think we do. And this is the reason why. Because I feel like I said before, you still have to establish this bloodline. I mean, not that it hasn't worked so far, but if we talked about storylines being long-winded.
I mean, they keep calling Solo wannabe. I mean, you even saw they were the Temu bloodline. So there are people that are not still taking this seriously. So you're right on that point. I think they need that championship. Really, I think they really need that championship. So obviously, your point is right. They're still not taking the majority of people are still not taking this bloodline seriously.
They're not. And so if Cody comes out victorious, I feel it's going to be something that we've been looking forward to. You just said it himself. He wrapped up all his movies. He's wrapped up his obligations. We heard before, the final boss, I feel, will make his return at SummerSlam. Does he align himself with Solo Sikoa? I don't know. I think there's more of a personal thing between him and Cody Rhodes, which could lead to, who knows? I think it's leading up to WrestleMania. Some people think it might be Roman and The Rock, but I think we see the final boss return, not Roman Reigns. So that'll be the swerve. That'll be the thing where everyone wants Roman Reigns to be there. They're not going to give it to you. They're going to give you The Rock. What side is he on? Which allegiance is he on? Is he just going for Cody? Is he aligning himself with Solo? Is he still loyal to the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns? I think that's how we're going to end WrestleMania. Summer. Well, this is the WrestleMania of summer, right? SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes coming out victorious, and then we have the square off between The Rock and Cody Rhodes.
That is definitely we'll see if the fans. I mean, how can you be disappointed if you get The Rock, right? I mean, you're just getting the final boss. So that's a great point. My point to you is this: is that I think what they've done to themselves here is, I don't know if it's a huge thing or not, but obviously I'm looking at this. I think that the win-loss record really killed Solo Sikoa. As far as like after defeating John Cena, I mean, it was like a 2-34 or something like that. They did not do themselves any favors with the booking of Solo Sikoa, because I don't know whether it's neglect or something like that, or they just didn't think about it. How could you have him lose all these matches? How could you not have him be a viable guy in that faction? How come they won tag team titles and Solo couldn't win a U.S. championship, right? Like, to me, I think that while this is great and he's where he's at, this is the point where he's got to get a victory somehow, whether it's disqualification or whether he wins this one. Well, now they can't be disqualification now, but like there has to be most likely a title change, right? I don't know how a loss here would help Solo become a viable leader. He'll still be that wannabe that couldn't get the job done. A wannabe that's the leader of this bloodline faction 2.0 that's like 3-37 or something like that with this crazy below 500 record. And we know wins and losses don't mean anything, but people remember these losses because you're held in the esteem of you want to be equivalent to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns ain't losing about 3 years. Probably had the greatest title reign, and you're 2-40. You're 3-37. That to me is where they did themselves a huge disservice in the booking of Solo Sikoa before they did this turn. I don't understand why. I wish someone would explain that to me because it doesn't make any sense. Kind of also killed like what it means to beat a John Cena, right? Because it should mean a lot. And I don't know. To me, that's to me what really kills the whole storyline because a guy like Solo Sikoa should already have that validation, and he's waiting for that validation. And the only thing that's going to do it, Trendsetter, is to win that championship on Saturday night. How does that work? I'm going to go with Cody as well, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have The Rock. I think Roman Reigns is coming back. I think Roman Reigns is going to cost Solo Sikoa the championship, and then you're going to have that stare down between Cody and Roman. Like, did Roman just help Cody? And then it's going to lead to a lot of doors and a lot of speculations. And we just want to announce, too, that immediately after SummerSlam, we will be, maybe I will wait till the post show, but we will be on IG Live at HSP at High Spot Podcast. We will be on IG Live with our post show because this is going to be so talked about because I think it's going to be Roman helping out Solo, and then he's going to lay him out. We're going to get into SmackDown, but that contact between that look between Cody and Roman, that wow, he's back, and now he's looking at him, and then perhaps maybe Roman picks up the title and hands it to Cody. You don't know, but it's going to be one of those things that everyone's going to talk about. And again, the unpredictability, Trendsetter, of what's going to happen too. So, yeah.
Real quick, I just want to get your point on this. If Solo wins, what's more intriguing to you as a fan? To see Solo somehow come out victorious, get that validation that you were talking about that he doesn't have right now currently with his record, and it solves all those issues in terms of his record. He becomes champion, right? He somehow steals the championship, holds the title, and Roman Reigns comes out and they face to face with the title right there. Is that more intriguing, or is it more intriguing to see Roman and Cody face to face? If you had to pick one,
I think the only reason why they would have Roman maybe hand the title or just maybe have that little stare down, whatever, is maybe to tease something between them. But I think it's more to really make that face turn for Roman Reigns, for him to be, okay, here's the guy that he's going to hand it over to Cody, say, hey, I remember this. I'm coming back for this. But right now, my eyes is on the battle for the. And that sounds like so much like a marketer. He's putting the scenario up really rare and as like making like this whole thing, this scenario. But I think that he's looking at Solo Sikoa as, I'm coming for the bloodline. I'm coming to regain my right. I'm coming to regain the.
Oh yeah.
No, you know what I'm talking about. But that's what
familiar.
I think is going to happen. I think that's what that. While yes, they're going to tease it. I'll get back to this, Cody. I still have my eye. I still have my eye on you. The battle for the bloodline is what's more important to me now. I think I did like.
Oh man,
do you have goosebumps?
Yes. Oh my God, goosebumps. Yes. The hair on my arm is standing up like The Rock likes to do there too. But again, the best thing about this, Jeff, is that it's not predictable. Like you just talked about it. I talked about the scenario of Solo winning, The Rock coming back, Roman coming back, Cody becoming victorious. Where it goes there. I threw Randy Orton out there too because we haven't seen Randy Orton since he got attacked by the Bloodline. Does he come back during SummerSlam? Does he help Cody? Does he not help Cody? A lot of things can happen here, and that's the amazing thing that we're talking about right now during the SummerSlam preview, that everything is on the table. Everything is a possibility, and that's the best part of it too, where it doesn't become predictable, and no matter what direction you go, after what I just said, what you just said, you can think that, hey, it could go that way.
Yeah. So I mean, real quick, and the thing also too is like Randy keeps looking at that title, and it seems like they're setting that up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, and I can't forget that because that's just too important. That's too important because we need to have that. We need to have that match. So we'll see what happens, Trendsetter. I got Cody retaining. You have Cody retaining?
I have Cody retaining, yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's it. And then, again, of course, we'll be with you guys immediately after SummerSlam. Again, so a lot of stuff has happened. The Bloodline, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, new tag team champions. Obviously, Bron Breakker becomes the number one contender. He'll have his match against Sami, and we think he's going to become the new IC champion. And again, make sure you check out our predictions. If you missed the show, of course, go listen to it before SummerSlam. Guys, this is what you do. You go get your food early, right? Go to the grocery store. You can have a party, whatever like that. Get all that stuff early, and then pop us on. Put us on audio. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify. Listen to us while you're in the grocery store, getting the chips, whatever like that, getting the drinks and everything like that. Listen to us. If not, once you're done with that, get on your laptop, get on your computer, and watch us here on the Give a Shot Network. And make sure you check out our preview show because you know what? This was really a can't miss here. And also once you do that, make sure you check us on IG Live for our post show about this SummerSlam because this is going to be talked about, man. I'm excited about it, Trendsetter. You've been watching us on the Give Us a Shot Network here. Like and subscribe to us. Make sure you follow Give Us a Shot Network as well on YouTube. And they have tremendous shows on there as well. So make sure you support everybody here. We're a family. And make sure you give your support and love to Give Us a Shot Network. We're thankful to be on them on their show, on their network every week as only we can do here, talking about pro wrestling, Trendsetter. And it's going to be so exciting, guys. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast on the audio, on the digital, guys.
Well, Jeff's excited. I'm excited as well. You guys watching this, you guys listening to this, we've been building up SummerSlam, and they've done a really good job at building it up. Now it's in your hands, guys. What do you think is going to happen? Please reply back to us. Let us know what you think, your comments of what your predictions are as well. That's it. That's it. Now it's all left is to watch and see what happens and react to it and see where we go now heading after SummerSlam. So for Jeff Martin, I'm Brian Berger, the Trendsetter. We are the Jersey Red Crew. You guys, thank you so much for listening to this SummerSlam preview of the High Spot Podcast. And remember, guys, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
Check out the post show. We'll see you right after SummerSlam.
Can't wait.